Lakini ni laying of the paper.
Yes. Laying of the paper, not slow motion. Yes. Defense. Haiko.
Administration.
Let us pray. Almighty God, who in your wisdom and goodness have appointed the offices of leaders and parliaments for the welfare of society and the just government of the people, we beseech you to behold with your abundant favor us your servants whom you have been pleased to call to the performance of important tasks in this republic. Let your blessings descend upon us here assembled, and grant that we treat and consider all matters that shall come under our deliberation in so just and faithful a manner as to promote your honor and glory, and to advance the peace, prosperity, and welfare of our country and of those whose interests you have committed to our charge. Amen.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Leader of majority.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 9th November 2022. One, request from the National Executive for approval of deployment of the Kenya Defence Forces in support of the National Police Service. Two, the amended Nairobi Convention and the Protocol for the Protection of Marine and Coastal Environment of the Western Indian Ocean from land-based sources and activities from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the explanatory memorandum. Three, request for extension of operation of statutory instruments issued under the Capital Markets Act and the Central Depositories Act. Four, monetary policy statement for June 2022 from the National Treasury and Planning. Five, annual performance report for the Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises Credit Guarantee Scheme for the financial year 2021 to 2022. Six, report of the Auditor General and financial statements of the Central Bank of Kenya for the financial year ended 30th June 2022 and the certificates therein. Seven, consolidated special audit report of the Auditor General on COVID-19 vaccine rollout in Kenya as at 31st March 2022. Eight, report of the Auditor General and financial statements of the Kenya Petroleum Refineries Limited for the financial years ended 30th June 2018, 2019, and 2020, and the certificates therein. Nine, report of the Auditor General and the financial statements of the Kenya Petroleum Refineries for 15 months in the period ending 30th June 2017, and the certificates therein. 10, report of the Auditor General and financial statements of the national government funds for the financial year ended 2020-2021 and the certificates therein. 11, forensic audit on KBC Digital Terrestrial TV, DVB T2 platform coverage rollout project. 12, report of the Auditor General and financial statements of the following institutions for the financial year ended 30th June 2018 and the certificates therein. A, Witness Protection Agency Staff Motor Car Loan Scheme. B, Konoin Technical Training Institute. 13, report of the Auditor General and financial statements of the Kenya Post Savings Bank for the financial year ending 31st December 2019 and the certificates therein. 14, report of the Auditor General and financial statements of the following institutions for the financial year ending 30th June 2019 and the certificates therein. A, SOTIC Technical Training Institute. B, National Police Service Commission Staff Car Loan and Mortgage Scheme Fund. C, Witness Protection Agency Staff Motor Car Loan Scheme. And D, Shamberere Technical Training Institute. 15, report of the Auditor General and the financial statements of the following institutions for the financial year ending 30th June 2020 and the certificates therein. A, the National Police Service Commission Staff Car Loan Mortgage Scheme Fund. B, Witness Protection Agency Staff Motor Car Loan Scheme. C, Konoin Technical Training Institute. D, Bumbe Technical Training Institute. E, Shamberere Technical Training Institute. F, Kibabii University. G, Kerio Valley Development Authority. H, National Police Service. I, Kenyatta International Convention Center, KICC. And lastly, the Rift Valley Institute of Science and Technology. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements. Order number
Is the chairperson? Okay, chairperson for security is not, okay. Okay, the Honorable Member for Mukurweini regarding, Honorable Member for Mukurweini. Yes. You have a statement.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44 2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning regarding the acquisition of Spire Bank Limited in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, Spire Bank Limited is a locally owned bank whose majority shareholding is Mwalimu National Sacco. The bank was initially operated as Equatorial Commercial Bank prior to its acquisition and eventual rebrand by Mwalimu National Sacco. The Sacco holds deposits from hundreds of employed, retired teachers, and other customers across the country. Since its acquisition by Mwalimu National Sacco, the bank has undergone a myriad of challenges that includes mismanagement and financial constraints. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning on the following. 1, could the chairperson explain whether there has been an offer to acquire the Spire Bank Limited and what is the status of the said process of acquisition? Number 2, could the chairperson explain the role played by the Competition Authority regarding the acquisition, and in particular the recommendations and decisions rendered by the authority? Number 3, could the chairperson state how much loss or profit will be realized after the acquisition? Number 4, could the chairperson explain steps taken by the government through the Central Bank of Kenya to assist the bank, if any, particularly in seeking strategic investors that will ensure the shareholders' interests are safeguarded, among others? Number 5, could the chairperson state the steps taken by the government to ensure that over 110 employees working with Spire Bank Limited are secured or offered other alternatives? Number 6, could the chairperson further state measures put in place to secure the deposits of hundreds of employed and retired teachers and other customers across the country? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
The honorable member for Awendo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. This is a request for statement regarding insecurity in Awendo constituency. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the Standing Order 44-2C, I would like to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs regarding the unexplained wanton killings of the constituents of Awendo. Honorable Speaker, I have filed petitions after petition, and even now there is one pending on the killing of over 15 people in the last few months. This matter is of great concern, and it is my humble submission that the chairperson of Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs explain what must be the reason behind this breakdown of law and order, which has never been seen in Awendo. People are losing lives daily, and the police are not coming up with any justifiable explanation. In the petition, I mentioned some of the murders which have not been resolved and seem to be done by same culprit or persons. These are, number 1, Mr. Eric Were was murdered on the night of 15th October 2022. Mr. Joshua Okumba Maneno was also murdered on 10th October 2022. Madam Alice Anyango was murdered on 12th August 2022. Mr. Brian Ochieng was murdered on the 17th July 2022. Mr. Tom Ouma was murdered in Ranen on 4th July 22. Mr. Johnston Onyango Moga was murdered on 5th June 2022 in Awendo town. Mr. Lamek Nyangaga was murdered on the 25th May 2022. Jackton Muga was murdered inside the Awendo West SDA Church on the night of 23rd March 2022. Mr. Joel Oyugi Orondo was murdered on 12th March 2022. Mr. Peter Micheni was beheaded in Awendo on 23rd January 2022. Mr. Jeremiah Oliach Anyona was murdered on the 26th October 2021 in Kokuro Junction. Honorable Speaker, even when the dust has not settled and the people of Awendo are still waiting for the police to arrest the culprits, 2 more grisly killings have again just taken place. On 3rd November 2022, Bernard Akoth was murdered on his way back to his Sonic house in Awendo town. Mr. Donald Amongo Abonyo, who traveled to Awendo from Nairobi, was murdered on the 7th November 2022, just over the weekend, when he alighted from the bus in the wee hours of the morning. As a matter of security for the people of Awendo and Kenyans in general, a solution must be found and reasons behind these senseless murders brought to an end. And the security apparatus in the county must find a solution once and for all. Honorable Speaker, Awendo Town is the backbone of economic activities of the constituency because of the Sony Sugar Company. And any breakdown on law and order means this is creating negative impact on development which might never be regained. The residents have now been left in state of fear and dependency due to the security breakdown in the last few months following these murders. This House must ask the government to assure all Kenyans that they and their properties are safe and they can go about their duties without any fear, particularly that they will not be seemingly killed. The police also seem to have not taken their work seriously in Awendo and has never given any way forward to lead us in dealing with this situation. Some of the officers have overstayed in Awendo and are being accused of being involved in these murderous activities. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs on the following. 1, could the chairperson explain the circumstances that has led to such said killings and provide the status of investigations into these said killings of persons in the said area? Number 2, could the chairperson state the factors that are inhibiting the government to do proper intelligence in order to identify and arrest the culprits? Number 3, could the chairperson explain measures that the government has put in place to ensure that there is long-term and sustainable peace to the community? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
As regards your point of order, Leader.
Honorable Speaker, I just wanted to speak in support of that statement by the member for Awendo. Honorable Speaker, issues to do with insecurity are indeed on the rise. And it's not just in Awendo constituency, but across the nation. You have seen very unfortunate incidents, Honorable Speaker, including the stabbing of a 24-year-old right here in Nairobi in Ridges, Honorable Speaker, and my sympathies to the family and many other Kenyan families who have lost loved ones as a result of insecurity, Honorable Speaker. But Honorable Speaker, more importantly, even as you direct on what to do with that statement, Honorable Speaker, I want to ask Honorable Speaker that now that we have committees almost finalized, and I think we should be finalizing even election of chairs by the end of this week, the House Procedures Committee, Honorable Speaker, acts with haste to amend our standing orders, Honorable Speaker, to allow the cabinet secretaries time to come and answer these very pertinent questions, especially on issues to do with insecurity in the country, Honorable Speaker, because it is a problem that is not just in Awendo. Nairobi, I think, has become one huge crime scene. And even in my own constituency, Honorable Speaker, in the last few weeks, cases of insecurity, border thugs riding on borders, Honorable Speaker, harassing people. And these cases are prevalent, Honorable Speaker. But I'm glad, Honorable Speaker, in a way, that we have now vetted, and I think the chair of the Security Committee will also be tabling the report on the vetting of the IG, and we have a new DCI, Director DCI, and we must ask them as soon as they take office to make sure that all these cases of insecurity are brought to a complete halt so that Kenyans are able to carry on with their businesses, be it in Awendo, in Kikuyu, in Nairobi, anywhere in this country, Honorable Speaker, Kenyans must feel safe. And with that, I really want to support, even as we wait on your direction on that statement.
Honorable members, as regards the statement by the Honorable Member of Mukurweni on the acquisition of Spire Bank, do we have a response from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning? Chairperson for the Departmental Committee of Finance? Okay. Proceed to the response then from for the next statement by the Honorable Member of Awendo on the killings in Awendo constituency. I think that can be responded to by the Honorable, the Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Security. Honorable, or do you need time to?
Yeah, Honorable Speaker, I've keenly heard what the Honorable Member has said, and now that we are soon going to have the Inspector General of Police, hopefully this House is going to approve. We are going to look into that, and maybe 2 weeks, we can able to respond to it. More importantly, Honorable Speaker, as the leader of majority has said, I think is the issue of looking into amendment of our standing orders so that we can allow the cabinet secretaries to be in this House to address such issues. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
And Honorable Chairperson, you also had a notice of motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I beg to lay the following paper on the desk of the House today, Wednesday, the 9th November 2022, this afternoon. The report on the Joint Committee of the National Assembly, Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs, and the Senate Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Affairs on the vetting of the engineer Javed Koome Njembere for the approval as the Inspector of National Police Service. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
We proceed with the notice of motion.
Thank you once again, Madam Speaker. On the same, Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House adopts the report of the Joint Committee of the National Assembly, Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Affairs, and the Senate Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations on the vetting of Engineer Javed Koome Njembere for approval as Inspector General of the National Police Service, laid on the table of this House today, Wednesday, November 9th, 2022, and pursuant to the provision of Section 12(1) of the National Police Service Act 2011 and Section 8 of the Public Appointments Approval Act 2011. This House approved the appointment of Engineer Javed Koome Njembere as the Inspector General of the National Police Service Commission. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Order number 8, motion, empowerment of artisans by the national government. Question to be put.
Honorable members, this motion was concluded, and what remains is putting the question, and I now proceed to do so. Honorable members, I put the question, which is that aware that there are many talents amongst the youth of this country, noting that these talents have been severally displayed through various inventions and also innovations by artisans in platforms such as the annual Youth Innovation Week and profiled on social media, and concerned that the most of these innovations and artworks do not go beyond making sensational stories in their localities and local dailies and social media mentions. Noting that most of the innovations and artworks are crucial in ideas promotion, intellectual development, and at creating employment and addressing the problems that affect us as Kenyans on a daily basis. Concerned that There is inadequate support and administrative measures to support the artisans, and cognizant of the fact that the Kenya Vision 2030 seeks to make our country an industrialized middle-income economy in the next 9 years. Aware of the immense potential for wealth creation and job opportunities through our local production, generated if well developed and commercialized. Also recognizing that our imports are well in excess of 2 billion shillings, and most of these imports are not relevant to the Kenyan market. Noting that homegrown technology would be region sensitive and appropriate for the environment and social economic dynamic and suitable for our utility. Further concerned that most of these artisans lack appropriate technology skills, capital, and tools. This House resolves that the national government, through the relevant ministry, formulate a policy of ring-fencing 2% of the monies allocated under the National Government Constituencies Development Fund and the Ways of Fund for the purposes of equipping artisans with the necessary skill and technology and tools. Will as many as of this opinion say aye? Aye. And will as many of the contrary opinions say no? The ayes have it.
Order number 9, motion, session of paper number 3 of 2021 on the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights. Mover to reply.
This matter had also been concluded. What remained was for the mover to reply.
Yeah. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to reply that this House adopts session of paper number 3 of 2021 on the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights that was laid on the table of the House on 21st September 2021. Honorable Speaker, let me just thank all the members who contributed to this motion. Honorable Speaker, the huge interest that members had in this motion was evidence that many of us here appreciate the role that the respect of human rights within our labor force, Honorable Speaker, is how important this is, Honorable Speaker. More so, Honorable Speaker, because we, being the people's representatives, many of the people who are working either in the private sector or even in government agencies, Honorable Speaker, are our constituents, they are our voters, and they are the people we represent, and therefore the respect and honor of their human rights, Honorable Speaker, by corporates, both private and government agencies, Honorable Speaker, is of paramount importance to us as the people's representatives. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, since we now have a policy that creates that action plan on how agencies of government and even private entities will be governed in a way all our corporates, both private and public, will honor the provisions of this policy direction in view of ensuring that nobody, whether you are a Kenyan corporate, Kenyan citizen corporate, or even those corporates that have come from outside this country in terms of foreign direct investors who are investing in our country, that they respect our people and respect their rights. With that, those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to reply.
This matter has now been concluded, and I now proceed to put the question. Honorable members, I now put the question that this House adopts the sessional paper number 3 of 2021 on the National Action Plan on Business and Human Rights, laid on the table of the House on the 21st of September 2021. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say no? The ayes have it.
Order number 10, motion, changes to committee membership.
Honorable Speaker, allow me to move this motion, understanding Order 148, Honorable Speaker, in an amended form, that further to the resolution of the House of Thursday, 27 October 2022, appointing members into various committees, and pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 173, this House further approves the appointment of the following members to the respective committees as specified in the order paper, Honorable Speaker, and since the entire list is provided for in the pages up to page 163, Honorable Speaker, I don't wish to take members through the entire list. But Honorable Speaker, as we promised, both in the majority and minority leadership, that immediately after elections, Honorable Speaker, we would have an opportunity to deal with members' placement in committees, especially those members who found themselves either not within any committee. There are also a number of members, like the Honorable Samuel Moroto, who I can remember from the majority side, who were only placed in one committee and didn't, a departmental committee or a select committee, didn't have a departmental committee. There are members who were in departmental committees, no select committees. A few were in select committees without a departmental committee, Honorable Speaker. And we have endeavored, as we promised, to ensure that we place members at least in a departmental committee, subject to the availability of those slots on both coalitions. And Honorable Speaker, I will just beg members to understand that the number of slots available in departmental committees across the political divide are limited. And therefore, you may find yourself in the minority missing out on a departmental committee, but hopefully maybe you are in a good or very influential select committee. And members do know what select committees, depending on the applications, that they considered to be influential select committees. And Honorable Speaker, there was also the opportunity after the election of the chairs and vice chairs that any chair in line with our standing orders, Honorable Speaker, who has been elected, and you remember by the time we were doing these lists, many members had not been elected into either chairs or vice chairs. Subsequently, after election of chairs and vice chairs, we have had to move chairs who had two committees to leave them in line with our standing orders with just one committee as provided for in our standing orders. Unless, of course, someone is in the select committees that don't sit often, like the appointments committee, whose work is almost sessional or seasonal at the time of appointments, and a few maybe in the selections committee, Honorable Speaker. And one or two, Honorable Speaker, chairs, vice chairs, sorry, who have been moved because probably they have been elected as a vice chair of a committee and they were in two very high-profile committees, and therefore to be able to accommodate other members who are in less high-profile committees, we have done those movements. And this is across the board from both the majority and the minority. And Honorable Speaker, as I conclude, because this is just deployment, Honorable Speaker, we did indicate, and I must indicate, Honorable Speaker, that as I indicated here, and I think the leader of my minority spoke to it last time, that the selections committee will no longer just be a committee that sits once at the beginning of the session to place members, and unless people are being de-whipped, is the next time it sits. We have had discussions on how the selections committee will work in this session, Honorable Speaker, and agreed within the selections committee and forwarded the same to the House Business Committee that has agreed with us that we want to place members in committees where they will not only participate, but become active participants in their committees. Therefore, if you are lucky to find yourself in a committee, either a committee you wish to be in or one that you never wish to be in, and you have been placed in that committee, your active participation in that committee will determine whether you continue to sit in that committee. And once every month or every few weeks, we shall be sitting as a selections committee to review minutes of your committee sittings to ensure no member simply appears before a committee to sign the register and walk out. We shall review minutes to review how actively our members across the political divide are participating in the transactions of that committee, so that you allow other members who probably would have more time to be active participants in particular committees the opportunity to serve in those committees. So I just wanted to mention that, Honorable Speaker, so that if you see a lot of changes every now and then, we will understand that those changes are informed by our own actions or inactions in our committees. Therefore, for those who are serving in the Budget and Appropriations Committee, for those who serve in the Defense Committee, for those who serve in the Transport Committee, Health, and I think the other was Energy, that had very huge interest. Those, I think we have agreed within the leadership, both the minority and majority, that we'll pay special attention to those committees so that any member who is not an active participant, then you will allow your leadership, your party leadership, to move you to a less busy committee or probably where you will find time to serve in. With those very few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I want to beg to move this motion, Honorable Speaker, and ask members to support so that now these committees may be able to sit, and more importantly, Honorable Speaker, I think as early as this evening, and that's why you don't waste a lot of time with it. There are committees that are yet to have their elections, and part of the leadership in those committees sits in these changes, and that is what had even informed some of the changes. There are changes that we needed to do that either the minority or the majority intended to place certain members to lead certain committees, and we needed to move them so that they can be able to go ahead and hold the elections, especially the select committees, PIC. I think the Committee on Cohesion also is here to hold the elections, and therefore we should be able to allow them from this evening to be able to schedule the elections and elect their new leadership, and committees can begin work. With those few remarks, I beg to move and ask the Deputy Leader of Minority, the Honorable Mbui, to second.
Honorable Leader of Majority, before the secondment by your colleague, I think, Leader, you had indicated that you are moving the motion in its amended form. So if you could kindly pronounce the amendments for the record and for the benefit of the Hansard.
Sorry, Honorable Speaker, I forgot to mention that I did indicate that I'm moving this motion, understanding number 148 in an amended form, and the amendment is on page 163 on the House Procedure and House Rules Committee to delete that provision that the Honorable Maalim Farah MP to replace Honorable Yakub Adokuno MP. Honorable Speaker, at the time the minority side was making this change, it had not come to the attention that the Honorable Farah, being a member of the Speaker's panel, is by virtue of his office already a member of this committee, and therefore this will stand deleted for now, since the Honorable Farah already sits in that committee by virtue of his office.
Seconder.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I stand to second the motion on changes to committee membership. Madam Speaker, I want to agree with the Leader of Majority that basically this is meant to rationalize membership to different committees so that as much as possible, because this is going to be an ongoing process, every member will as much as possible be given opportunity to serve so that they can be able to, of course, represent their people as expected. Madam Speaker, I want to just make two comments, quick comments on my observation on membership to committees. The first one being the issue of equality of committees. Madam Speaker, when members come to this House, in fact, especially first-time members, there is a clamor for very specific committees. And I think it's important going forward to find a way so that we can make it clear that all committees of the House are basically the same, so that we don't have every member who comes to Parliament wants to be either budget or transport. It's important that we ensure that whatever makes them attractive is also provided in all the other committees so that that business of members fighting for two committees ends. The other issue, Madam Speaker, is that we must also rationalize, and this is something we had requested in the House Business Committee, that we end up doing an audit of all members and the number of committees each member serves in, so that we can be sure that every member gets their fair share of committee membership. Because, Madam Speaker, when we do that, the little dissenting voices will also be quelled. And it's important that we operate with cohesion as a parliament. So it's important that later on we do a good audit so that we know every member serves in how many committees. Because a member could be in too many committees and be unable to serve, or be in less than enough committees, maybe in only one, and they can be able to add value if they had more than one. Finally, Madam Speaker, I think it's important the House Business, the Procedure and House Rules Committee needs to look at the number of slots that are available in committees. You know, every time, even when the speaker pronounced themselves on this issue, they say that members should, as much as possible, be in a departmental committee and then in a select committee. And that I think all members expect that to be a bare minimum. But Madam Speaker, the departmental committees are only 20 with 15 members each. That gives us only 300 members. This House has 349 members. So 49 members will not be in a departmental committee. It's not possible for them to be in a departmental committee. And if a member ends up in 2 departmental committees, that means more than 49 end up not being in a departmental committee. So maybe we need to rationalize and look at the numbers, maybe increase the membership to committees going forward, or increase the number of departmental committees so that every member can at least fit into one departmental committee. With those few remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to second.
Honorable Member for Ruaraka, what's your intervention?
Madam Speaker, probably it could be proposed first before I make my...
Honorable members, I now wish to propose the question that further to the resolution of the House of Thursday, 27th October 2022, appointing members into various committees and pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 173, this House further approves the appointment of the following members to the respective committees as specified here, as specified and outlined in today's order paper, particularly in pages 161, 162, 163, and 164. We will proceed to put the question. Yes. I think I will, let me allow him a brief.
Madam Deputy Speaker, thank you so much for allowing me to put my voice in spite of Dr. Pokose, who always wants to put questions because he has nothing to debate when it comes to the House. But Madam Speaker, Dr. Pokose knows he's my classmate, so I am the only one who has the privilege to say certain things that others cannot say about him. But Madam Speaker, I don't usually talk about committees, neither am I interested really in who goes to what committee and that kind of thing. But something is in sensing, which I must talk about. And this is about someone who has pleaded, and perhaps he does not have a voice to speak. That is why some of us must speak for him. Member for Westlands. Would it be in order to ask the majority leader, together with minority leaders, to amend this motion in that place where Honorable Farah should have been in